With a renewed focus on South America, External Affairs Minister Dr. Jaishankar has started visiting the three key countries in the region, Argentina, Brazil, and Paraguay, from 22nd, 27th to 27th August 2022. This will be the first visit to the South American region by India's foreign minister and for him also. How important do you think is this trip for India?
Some people in India have this impression that Latin America is too far, it's a different language, culture, and it is not that important for India's trade and business. And this is absolutely wrong. I would say that Latin America today makes more sense in dollars than some neighboring countries and traditional trade partners. Last year, we exported $19 billion to Latin America. Now, let me do a comparison with our traditional partners and neighboring countries. For example, Paraguay, where EAM has already been yesterday, our exports to Paraguay last year were 211 million. But our exports to Cambodia is 198 million. Now, look at it. Paraguay is 15,000 kilometers away. And it has a population which is half that of Cambodia, just 7 million. And Cambodia is in your backyard. They have similar culture and is just 1,000 kilometers from India. But look at it. Paraguay, we exported 211 million, while to Cambodia, our exports are just 198 million. Now, let's go to Brazil, where the EAM is there today. Brazil, last year, we exported $6.5 billion. Now, this is more than our exports to Japan and Thailand individually. Japan, we did 6.18 billion. Thailand, we did 5.7 billion. Now, take Argentina. Last year, we exported $1.5 billion, which is more than what we exported to neighboring Myanmar, which is just 900 million. And both countries have the same population of 50 plus million. Now, let me give you some more solid examples. Latin America accounts for 1/3 of India's global car exports. Last year, we did $1.8 billion. Mexico is the second largest destination for India's global car exports. Latin America accounts for 1/3 of India's global export of motorcycles. And Colombia is the second largest destination for India's export of motorcycles, over $300 million. This company called Hero in Gurgaon, Haryana, they have invested $70 million for motorcycle assembly plant in a place called Cali in Colombia.
We saw that there was some engagement with Argentina and Brazil, but not so much with the Paraguay. Because in Paraguay, we didn't have our own embassy and it was, accredited from the Argentina. Argentina also, I think, has been an important player in International Solar Alliance. And Paraguay is also there. So how, in terms of India's footprint in the global diplomatic reach, how much do these countries can help us?
Bilaterally, South America is useful for food and energy security. As in India, the population is growing, but the acreage available for agriculture is reducing every year due to land being taken away for commercial, industrial, residential purposes. And we have water problems in Punjab and Tamil Nadu everywhere. But South America it can bring in another 40 million hectares of land without touching Amazon. And Brazil alone has 20% of global water reserve. And they have technology and they do large-scale farming. So South America, the Mercosur countries, particularly Brazil, Argentina, Uruguay, Paraguay, is an agricultural powerhouse. They can feed another 500 million people in the world. So now we have started sourcing food products. Like, for example, last year we got almost $4 billion of soya oil and sunflower oil from Argentina. Now with this Ukraine crisis, the edible oil prices in India have gone up. And so we look at Argentina and Brazil and Mercosur even more serious because they have the capacity to increase production and export of edible oil, pulses, and many other food products. So potentially they are a long-term food security partner. On the energy front, in the 2010 to 14 period, we imported almost about 10 to 15% of our oil from Latin America, mainly from Venezuela, plus Brazil, Colombia, Ecuador, and Mexico. Now, because of the American sanctions, the imports from Venezuela have come down. And they have a lot of oil reserves and gas reserves and have the capacity to increase their production and export more. Now with this Ukraine and Russia crisis, so even the Americans are wooing Venezuela to, step up production. So we can count on Latin America for our energy security for crude oil supplies in the coming years. Then another import we make is gold. Last year we imported something about $6 billion from Bolivia, Peru, Colombia, Brazil, and Mexico. And the region is very rich in minerals, copper, iron ore, coal, a lot of minerals. And we import copper, for example, from Chile. We used to import about $2 billion. Now it has come down. We import emeralds from Colombia. And so, this region is a good source. And for example, and even lithium, for example, there's something called lithium triangle, which is Bolivia, Chile, and Argentina. They have the largest lithium reserves in the world. And lithium is needed for your new car batteries and renewable energy. So we are looking at this region for sourcing lithium
in future. Also, one important thing, Argentina is very keen to join BRICS group, and has discussed the matter with New Delhi. We already have Brazil, from that region. Now, if Argentina comes, that will be two big power from Latin America. And then we have, of course, India, China, and South Africa. How formidable that group will become if Argentina also come on board?
Brazil, India, China, they were the real three ones, not even Russia, which had the potential for high growth in the coming decade. Okay? But the guy added Russia. But then later the Chinese added South Africa. It makes no sense. South Africa is not a big economy or a promising economy. Okay, so now you formed BRICS. Now it doesn't make any difference whether you add Argentina or Mexico or Indonesia or Turkey. There's a lot of politics there.
So, since it's the first time, Dr. Jaishankar is visiting that region of the world, what kind of expectations we have, from this trip?
You see, I told you the way we have a new paradigm or relationship of mutual interest, attraction, and discovery of synergies and complementarities between two sides. Now, in this last 2 decades, the Latin Americans have been coming and wooing India much more than what we did. Okay, we are preoccupied with this Pakistan, China, United States. Obviously, we couldn't spare as much time as the Latin Americans show interest in India. So now they are happy that the External Affairs Minister is visiting even a small country like Paraguay. Otherwise, earlier it's only the ministers of states who are going to these countries. But now, for the first time, we have External Affairs Minister who talked about Latin America, met the Latin American ambassadors, and goes to these smaller countries also. So it's a kind of reciprocation. So they are delighted. And from their point of view, is it they are unhappy with the United States because of the usual hegemony and destabilization they keep doing. And Europe is a last case, they have a lot of protections against products which are being exported from Latin America, so they are not happy with the Europeans. And China has given a lot of credit. They have invested a lot, much more than India. And but the Latin Americans want to reduce their over-dependence on China because of communication gap and a little fear and distress. So they want to reduce their dependence on China and look at India as a potential promising partner economically, business-wise, and politically in future. So they are happy that the External Affairs Minister had time to come and visit them. And in 2014, India was the third largest destination for exports of Latin America, much more than, say, Germany or Spain or UK or Japan. Last year we were 7th, but for Latin America, India is significantly large and growing market for our exports. And also they look at India as a country of investment. Like, for example, Aditya Birla has invested $2 billion in Brazil. There's a company called UPL, which is India's, the largest Indian agrochemical company called UPL, United Phosphorus Limited. Today, this largest Indian agrochemical company does more business in Brazil than in India. There they do $1.5 billion of business, whereas in India they do just $1 billion. There's a company called Motherson. which has established some 24 auto parts plants, most of them in Mexico, plus some in Brazil and Colombia. Annual turnover is about $800 million. The TCS is present in something like about 12 Latin American countries. They employ around 25,000 Latin American staff in their operation. And their annual revenue is touching almost $1 billion. And our export of pharmaceuticals is about $1.5 billion. Now, the Latin Americans don't see these dollars. They see India as a helpful partner in supplying affordable generic medicines. So this, they use it to force the multinationals and the local companies to reduce their cost of medicine. So they see India as a healthcare partner because we are helping the governments and the consumers of Latin America to reduce their cost of healthcare. So much interest in Latin America, and they see that here it comes Mr. Jaishankar, the EAM. So it is a mutual win-win synergy and complementarity.
And let's hope that the External Affairs Minister's visit will augment South-South cooperation, and with the focus on food and energy security, defense, space, IT and aerospace, our industry and our trade relationship will get bigger boost. Ambassador Viswanathan, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.